Welcome back to Progress Over Perfection, the POP podcast. This is episode 4, and I'm your host, Yemi. This is the show for anyone who's ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or just convinced that you need to have it all figured out before you can start. Today, we are tackling a monster of a topic, the idea that you need to feel ready, confident, or motivated before you can make a change. We're told to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the burst of inspiration. But what if that's all a trap? What if real progress comes from taking messy, imperfect action, especially when you don't feel ready at all? To help us unpack this, I am so excited to welcome our guest today. Abby is a coach and writer who has built her entire philosophy around the power of doing it scared and embracing the awkward first steps. Abby, thank you so much for being here.
Yemi, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad we get to talk about this because I think it's the single biggest hurdle for so many people. The I'm not ready myth is so pervasive.
It really is. Let's just dive right in there. Why do you think we are so obsessed with this idea of being ready? Where does that come from?
I think it's a form of self-protection. Our brains are fundamentally wired to avoid risk, uncertainty, and potential failure or embarrassment. And starting something new is all of those things. So waiting to feel ready feels like a responsible, safe strategy.
Right, it's a defense mechanism.
Exactly. It's your brain saying, hey, let's just do a little more research. Let's wait until we have more money, more time, more confidence. But it's a trick, because ready is not a feeling you arrive at. It's a destination that doesn't exist. You can research forever. You can plan forever. The goalposts for ready just keep moving.
That is so true. It feels like you're being productive, planning and researching, but you're actually just waiting, procrastinating in a socially acceptable way.
Productive procrastination. It's the most dangerous kind. You get the satisfaction of checking things off a list, but the list is all preparation and no action. The real truth, the one that's hard to swallow, is that confidence isn't something you have, it's something you build, and you only build it by taking the action in the first place.
So confidence is a result, not a requirement.
Yes, 1,000%. Think about the first time you drove a car. Were you confident?
Oh, not at all. I was terrified. White knuckles on the steering wheel, going 10 miles an hour.
Of course, we all were. You didn't wait until you felt like a confident driver to get behind the wheel. You got behind the wheel, awkwardly, nervously, and by doing it over and over again, you built the competence that then created the confidence. It's the same with starting a business, learning an instrument, having a difficult conversation. The action has to come first.
That driving analogy is perfect because it's so universal. So if waiting for confidence is the trap, what about motivation? That's the other big one. People say, I just can't get motivated.
Motivation is even trickier because it's an emotion, and emotions are fickle. They come and go. If you only work on your goals when you feel motivated, you'll barely get anything done. I see motivation like a wave. You can't control when it shows up, but you can learn to paddle out and catch it. And the paddling, that's the action.
So action can actually generate motivation?
It almost always does. It's a positive feedback loop. Have you ever dreaded going to the gym, but you force yourself to go, and after 10 minutes, you suddenly feel great and want to be there?
Every single time.
That's the principle in action. Your body is in motion, endorphins are flowing, you feel a sense of accomplishment. That's motivation being created in real time. It didn't exist before you started. The initial push came from discipline or a commitment, not from a feeling.
This completely reframes the whole process. We're waiting for a feeling to push us into action, but you're saying we need to use action to pull the feeling along with it.
Precisely. The feeling follows the behavior, not the other way around. Once you truly internalize that, it's incredibly freeing. You stop blaming yourself for not feeling motivated, and you start focusing on what you can control, your actions.
So, let's get practical. How does someone start? Let's say someone listening wants to start a podcast, or write a book, or just get back into a fitness routine. They're stuck in that I'm not ready loop. What is the first tangible step?
The key is to lower the stakes so dramatically that your brain doesn't see it as a threat. We tend to think of the entire massive project. Write a book is terrifying. But what is the smallest, most ridiculous, imperfect first step you could take?
Like writing one sentence.
Even smaller. Open a new document and give it a title. That's it. That's the action for today. For the podcast, don't think about buying a microphone. Just open the voice notes app on your phone and talk for 30 seconds about what the show might be about. No one ever has to hear it.
Okay, I love that. It's about creating momentum with something that feels almost effortless.
Yes, because progress isn't about giant leaps. It's about tiny, consistent steps. I call this embracing the messy first draft. Your first workout back at the gym will be clumsy. Your first blog post will probably be terrible. Your first podcast recording will be full of ums and awkward pauses. And that is not only okay, it is necessary.
It is necessary. Why is it so important to accept that it will be bad at first?
Because perfectionism is the enemy of progress. If you expect your first attempt to be great, you'll be so disappointed and paralyzed by the gap between your vision and your reality that you'll just quit. But if you go into it with the explicit goal of creating a terrible first draft, you've already succeeded.
That's a brilliant reframe. The goal is to do it badly.
Do it badly. It gives you permission to be a beginner. You can't edit a blank page. You can't improve a workout you never did. You can't refine a podcast you never recorded. The imperfect action gives you raw material to work with. It gives you data.
I've never thought of it that way. Failure isn't a judgment, it's just data. Okay, that approach didn't work. What can I try next?
Exactly. Every mistake, every clumsy attempt is just feedback. It's information guiding your next tiny step. This mindset shifts you from a place of fear and judgment to a place of curiosity and experimentation. I wonder what will happen if I try this is a much more empowering question than what if I fail?
This connects to the idea of a growth mindset, doesn't it? The belief that your abilities can be developed.
Completely. A fixed mindset says, I'm not good at this, so I shouldn't try. A growth mindset says, I'm not good at this yet, so I should try. Imperfect action is the engine of a growth mindset. It's how you actually do the developing.
Abby, have you had a personal experience with this? A time when you were completely stuck and had to take your own advice?
Oh, absolutely. My entire career is a testament to imperfect action. When I first wanted to start my coaching business, I spent 6 months designing the perfect website. I obsessed over the logo, the colors, the copy. I told myself I couldn't launch until it was flawless.
Right, the productive procrastination we talked about.
The ultimate example. And in all that time, I hadn't coached a single person. I hadn't made a single dollar. Finally, a mentor told me, scrap the website for now, find one person and help them for free. It felt so unimpressive, so imperfect, but I did it. I reached out to a friend and offered a free session. And that one session, as messy as it was, taught me more than 6 months of website design. It gave me a testimonial. It gave me the confidence to reach out to someone else. That tiny, imperfect step was the domino that actually started my business. The fancy website came much, much later.
That's such a powerful story because it shows how the thing we think is the most important, the perfect presentation, the website, is often just a distraction from the actual work. The work is helping people.
The work is the verb. It's the coaching, the writing, the running. We get so caught up in the nouns, the coach, the author, the runner. You don't become the noun until you do the verb over and over again imperfectly. Oh, it's critically important. We often think of this as a solo journey, a battle against our own procrastination, but environment and community are force multipliers. If you want to start running, you can force yourself to do it alone, or you can join a running group, or tell a friend you'll meet them at the park at 6 a.m.
That's a fantastic distinction. Do the verb to become the noun. So much of this seems to be an internal battle, a mindset shift. But what about external factors? How important is our environment or having other people involved in this process of taking action? Okay, so let's talk about the inner critic. For a lot of people, the moment they try to take that messy step, a voice in their head just screams, "You're an idiot. This is terrible. Who do you think you are?" How do you manage that?
You can't really silence the inner critic. Trying to fight it just makes it louder. So instead, I suggest you acknowledge it and give it a name. Like, okay, Nancy, I hear you. Thanks for your input, but I'm going to do this anyway.
Give it a name. I like that. It externalizes it a bit.
It does. It separates the voice from your identity. You also have to remember that the critic's job is to keep you safe in your comfort zone. It's just a scared part of your brain. So you can say, I know you're trying to protect me, but staying stuck is a bigger risk than trying and failing. And then you pair that with the tiny, manageable action. The critic gets loud when the step feels too big. Make the step so small that the critic has barely anything to complain about.
I'm just opening a document, Nancy. Calm down.
Exactly. And what's amazing is that with each small action, you gather a tiny piece of evidence that you, in fact, can survive it. You build a case file against the inner critic. Eventually, its voice gets quieter, not because you fought it, but because you've outgrown its fears.
Wow, this has been incredibly insightful. As we start to wrap up, what would you say are the main takeaways for someone listening who is just feeling completely paralyzed by the need to get it right?
I think there are three big things. First, stop waiting for confidence or motivation. They are the reward for starting, not the ticket to get in. Action comes first. Second, lower the stakes. Identify the smallest, dumbest, easiest first step you can take and do it today. Give yourself permission for it to be messy. And third, treat everything as an experiment. There is no pass or fail. There is only data. Be a scientist in your own life. Get curious about what works.
Action first, lower the stakes, and be a scientist. I love that. Abby, this has been an absolute game changer of a conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me, Yummy. It was a real joy.
To everyone listening, I hope this episode gave you the permission you might have been waiting for. Permission to start small, to be messy, and to value progress over perfection. If this conversation resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the POP podcast wherever you listen. And we'd love for you to join our community online to continue the conversation. All the links are in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, you don't have to be ready, you just have to begin.